Hi Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I'm Susan, your intuitive, and this is your astrology and tarot reading for the month of July, also Cancer season. We're going to get right into the cards today. I have a lot of notes for you specifically, and the cards are already falling out, so we can just talk about it. Something that's really important right now, and this Six of Wands is the popular card so far, and it's about having gone through battle or having gone through something where he can feel how do I know what he feels? What it's depicted is that he's relaxed while headed forward with confidence. He wears the wreath on his head and on his wand, and even the horse is looking slightly back at him. It's about honor, it's about respect, and it's about carrying forward with courage. There's a sense of pride that transforms when relaxed into bravery. And it is brave to be confident on this road and more secure in your life. To recognize what you have passion for, what you have energy for, opportunities, people. Mars is in your 12th house for Libra risings. This is the Virgo card, but it's also about this introspective time. It's an introspective time while also moving forward, because there's a part of you that is able, if not all of you, to give yourself permission to remember the present moment and the security that you find there. The security that you've been, the quality of that. So I want to talk a little bit about fabric. Since this has come up, I'm going to start talking about the fabric. And if you're someone who likes clothes or has bought things, they can be destroyed by the machine that you're used to washing it in if it's a certain material or if it has a unique design. And in order to know that, you must read the label. So what are we talking about here? It's about addressing your needs in a way that is, sorry, this is how the cards came out. My apologies. Addressing your needs in a way that it's not up for negotiation. It's not that it's not only not up for negotiation, you're finally sharing those needs. And how do you do that? First, you have to address them yourself and realize that sometimes in your life you've overcompensated for not asking for help in areas that can be supported because you're so used to perhaps going it alone. There's a courageous act and a security within oneself and trust and within others that is built when you ask people for help and then they actually show up for you. And that can help build confidence not only within the self but within relation with others. So perhaps what you're discovering, and this could be especially through work right now, for Libra risings as well, but this is about, again, you're addressing your needs in a way that it's not up for negotiation. Therefore, it's not that you even have to say that. We're just chatting about it. Like, you don't have to say this is not up for negotiation. It's just the way that you command it and the way that you are. So now that you're operating in that way, in a way that in some cases it's been a certain control mechanism, perhaps from a father figure. This could also be Pluto's reckoning. That would be bottom of the deck. Releasing anything that's felt comfortably in control, but it's really been like this in between. It's like you've always been in, like, yes, you are the bridge, yes, you are the person that can connect people and bring them together, but you've been in this balancing act for so long and you don't realize, like, where is the break? Where is the time of rest? When does Libra get these opportunities? Well, it's because all of those scales came back to this one where you were teetering between, like, in order to feel safe, I must feel this because this is comfortable. And then every other scale and every other relationship, anything else stemming from your life, honestly, is now teetering between those scales, and that's where you're always relating back to. And now that perhaps in your life, and if you're someone who comes here and you're learning and you're growing, the transformation that's occurring is about whatever had you shackled materially. This could mean people, relationships, where you think you needed to be. You know, you're breaking free, and whether it's a divine moment, it's like this intuitive reckoning, divine intervention. It's crazy to realize that the 9 of Cups wasn't fulfilling enough for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to finally come to a place where it's like, oh, that's just been me, or this composure of me holding something together, and actually not, you weren't able to move beyond. Even if, for example, if it's a construct or conditioning or programming within family dynamics or a relational dynamic that you've been very close to, you maybe thought traveling or moving away was going to help alleviate. However, wherever you go, there you are is the saying, but wherever you go, your shit is going to come with you unless you actually do transform and move through it. So addressing and having this moment of like divine realization of really hearing what you've needed to hear. And this is also breaking free from the construct of controlling the amount of pleasure and receptivity and creativity that you get. Because I was like, receptivity, experiencing pleasure. This is breaking the construct of you need to be in this control, you need to be in this certain to feel pleasure, to feel good enough, to feel good about yourself. And it's possible that there's been this rhetoric that's gone on from someone who has had control over, because when you break it down, Libra, like very mental, right? When we break it down, the voices or whatever is popping up in your head and whatever that programming is, it stemmed back from someone or circumstances that recreated that in your mind and reinforced that in your mind, that caused you to feel powerless. And now what's happening with you and this security that you feel within your own body, and perhaps even any guilt that you're moving on from creating and feeling passion and feeling pleasure and feeling confident in your life in a way that's not for any other reason. Let's bring it down. For any other reason. And it's shedding a light on how you choose to work moving forward, what your day-to-day looks like moving forward. And it's shifting this perspective that you've had. And even over this, so it could be healing, it could be coping, but it could also be disassociating from the part of you that doesn't want to acknowledge the messy part of your reputation, or the messy parts of you, or the parts of, going back to that constantly, like in between that teetering. And what this King of Wands is showing up is to claim all of that back. That power and that masculinity within you, to claim all of that energy back to yourself that you gave away unconsciously, unknowingly, to fill the role, the face, the mask, the version, that other scale, right? Where a few months ago we talked about how you've been putting your value on the scale, and it's not, you don't go on there. Your value doesn't go on there. That's innate. That's grounded down within you. Okay, that's security. Now what is on the scales? What's the standard for the scale? You think you're starting from 0 because you're here and you finally have if now built upon it or grounded within yourself in a way that maybe feels whole or more embodied, and it's embodying your worth, you recognize that you didn't just start from the bottom. This is just a very fresh reality and perspective shift in where you've already been, but your mind's been somewhere else. It's so crazy how we can't, how we need to merge, and that can have come from wherever you've been dysregulated, wherever you felt guilt for what you've earned because you've allowed perhaps the noise or whatever to, like, whatever it was that created your nervous system and created who you are. And the more that you take your power back, the more control and more fun and enjoyment you can have over your life, regardless, because you realize the reckoning and the toll that this way that you had been living for who knows how long for some of you, and to see it so clearly in a way that's more life-giving than it is draining. Because let's be honest, like, when you're in this, when this is happening, how many times have you spiraled and just didn't know how to recalibrate yourself? So self-soothing or intellectualizing, you know, how many times have you been there for someone else, not only going through that, but going through something maybe adjacent to you, and you're the one to hold it together? This Eight of Swords is about being paralyzed within your own, it's almost like freeze response. And now that you feel safe enough to become warm, more warm, because you can portray warm. You could portray anything if you wanted to, depending on who's in front of you, Libra. But for yourself, finally, like, even if you've done things and have accomplishments or whatever your version of like success is, especially like whatever you've triumphed internally, because this Six of Wands isn't necessarily like external triumph. It's possibly, for a lot of people, in a lot of Libras, internal triumph. That King of Pentacles is saying you've earned, you felt what it's like to earn the way you feel now. And not that you need to, but you can feel that. You can feel the experience not only weigh on your shoulders, but it's starting to roll off and down your back and ground you into the space that you're in. And the options and the realizations of, like, from whatever you're integrating or regulating at this time, give you so much perspective, and you get so much energy back. Especially for those of you who felt tired. Anything that you've been thinking about doing and you don't do it and you feel more drained, it's because it'll give you more it'll give you more energy to actually do it. Like, to do it will give you the energy back. And we don't think that doing gives us energy, but those people who aren't workaholics but just like are just so lively and they're like constantly creating, putting things out there, yes, there is a rest that you need to have, but if you're in this flow and you're regulated, like, that is pleasurable, is it not? I mean, hey, if there's anything you can do for yourself right now, is realize what you've overcome mentally as of recently and have been releasing. So a lot of you, this is also about how much you've been releasing, perhaps emotionally. That's the Nine of Cups in reverse. Like, all that you've been carrying, that's not yours. And just got caught up in the sensitivity and who you are and because it was misplaced, it drained your power. And now that you can let it go and realize that you may have held on to things that aren't necessarily yours or weren't yours to carry. Remember that Libra rules the kidneys. It didn't come out, but Libra rules the kidneys, one of the places, and Venus. And the kidneys hold fear. And a lot of our fear, of course, fear is experienced and developed, but it's also all around us. If you're on social medias, if you're living life, unless you're truly curating your world, there's fear. Fear can start before we realize. So if you felt any strain in this area of your body, or if you check out the kidney meridians, or if you've already had kidney issues, regulating your fear. And what can truly overcome fear is the security you have in the belief in yourself. If you take one step back to look at what you've been through without associating it with tragedy all the time, regulating that and realizing the triumph to continue. Do you ever think about like older people who like continue to live and like have like this joy about them, and you realize, wow, like aging, I get why some people are bitter. I get why some people can age very bitter and very unhappy. And it's not that I ever, because you know, like when people act that way towards you, or you've experienced other people doing it and they just complain like, man, that person was blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I can kind of understand even more why people go around, now that I'm not a people pleaser, right? So if you're a Libra who identified as being a people pleaser at all, right? When you like learn to step back from that, and even if you've been, you could experience this, right? Like, I'm not saying whatever. You realize that like, okay, I can understand why like people are unhappy. People are bitter. And for you, I think there's just this divine realization of like taking things less personally, because you've been able to become so personal with yourself in a way that all of that excess energy, if it's not necessary to use or it's being misused, we can become very reactive to things that aren't ours to carry. So, and I have all these notes, and I don't know, we got to the fabrics, but I think you're finally at a time where, let's talk about this, being shaped. You are finally in this position where you're able to really feel the regulated flow of being shaped in the back and forth, of knowing that it's kind of, you're never like still, even a scale, like nothing's ever truly still, even if they like are only moving like ever so slightly. But you don't have to be afraid that this is going to happen, because the belief in yourself and the confidence and the security in the way that you've been shaped and how sacred you can and may have felt the human experience to be more than ever, the more that you take your power back and the more that you start to realize like whatever is in your control is so important and needs your attention. Because you broke free from a controlled way of being that has maybe engulfed a part of your life, maybe was also encouraged, right? It could have come from a harmful relationship, father figure, a Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn in your 4th house for Libra rising. So parents, caregiver, foundations. So this is like changing foundations and realizing like you aren't so strict about certain things. You don't need to be so controlled. Like that's kept you feeling like this it's kept you being someone that you're just not, and you're not just going along with things. You're going to be who you are, and people are going to love you, or people are not going to love you, period. But they're going to love you. The more you let go of that on yourself, the more others can see, the more you're just revealing. It's not even like you have to try, Libra. And you'll start to know what I mean, and we'll talk about that more next month in Leo season, for sure. So all information to work with me is below. The second part will be on Patreon. This will be out, and then this will be on Patreon as well, so you can get everything right to your email. That is, the link for that will be below, as well as my scheduling link, website link, Instagram, TikTok. It's all Venusian Wave, so you can check everything out. Everything's Venusian Wave. VenusianWave.com, at Venusian Wave. There I am. Here you are. It was so nice to be together in the Libra energy that we are. And we'll see you next time.